new diver, and I know you're thinking about taking your advanced open water certification. But why rush? I made that mistake, and I think there's a better way. Let's talk about it. Okay, welcome back. I'm Diver Dave, and of course, we're in the dive lab, and yes, I've got the coffee. And today is all about talking about when is the right time for a new diver to consider taking the advanced open water certification. It's a good one, and it might be slightly controversial, and I'm going to offer up an alternative path that will get you your advanced certification, but also get you a lot more dive experience at the same time. As a new diver, of course, you're all excited. You got your open water certification. You might have a few dives under your belt now, and you're starting to hear about the advanced open water certification. And at this very moment, what I would say is take a pause. Do a little bit of an assessment. Do a self-check and say, hey, are all of the fundamental skills that I require in order to go on to a more advanced certification in place? Do I have what I need in order to make sure I'm setting myself up for success in any other additional course I decide to take? And so if the answer is yes, then it's time to take a look. But what I see mostly are new divers coming straight out of the open water certification, and for the most part going right into the advanced track, the advanced open water certification. I did that, and I can tell you now that I know it was a huge mistake. I struggle a little bit with the terms advanced open water certification because of the fact that there are no minimum dive experience requirements in order to qualify to take the course. So I really have to question the word advanced. There is no way that you can be an open water diver fresh out of your open water course and then take the advanced open water certification and even be close to being an advanced diver after taking the advanced open water course. It's almost impossible. If you look at the PADI advanced open water certification, and I'm going to speak to PADI on this one because I am a certified PADI Master Scuba Diver Trainer. PADI's Advanced Open Water Certification says you must complete 5 dives. These are 5 adventure dives. 2 of them are mandatory: underwater navigation and deep dive. And then you can take a mix in terms of choice from all of the other specialty courses to make up the last 3. But the problem really is, out of those 5 courses, you're really only getting dive 1 out of each of those courses. So it's kind of just like a taste test, which is really probably what I struggle with the most. There is no way you can do dive 1 of 5 of those courses and then come away and feel like you are actually an advanced diver. You're playing a video game that has multi-levels. You've made it through level 1 and you've gotten through it. That's your open water certification. Now you have all of these other levels to go. But really what you're doing is you're just playing a little bit of each level. So you're not really mastering anything in that level. You're just kind of getting a glimpse of what each of those levels are. Does that really make you advanced? I don't think so. I know I was definitely not advanced when I came out of my advanced open water certification. I have to take my underwater navigation and I have to take my deep. If I take only dive 1 of the underwater nav and I've only done some kick cycles and maybe completed a navigational square, I just don't think I qualify to say that I am now an advanced underwater navigator in the recreational space. If I only do dive 1 of the deep course, which is literally being able to put a dive plan in place, matching my dive computer with my buddies, and looking at a color chart, then I don't think that really qualifies me to say I am now an advanced deep diver in the recreational space. So again, I'm questioning that. If I choose night, if I choose peak performance, if I choose drift, am I really going to come away from them thinking I'm advanced in any one of those areas? And the answer is absolutely not. So let's talk about my own personal experience going through the advanced open water diver course. And I would say the biggest problem I had is I came out of the open water diver course with a pretty big ego. And that's because I felt like nothing really challenged me through the duration of that course. So I thought, hey, I'm pretty good at this, so of course I want to be an advanced open water diver. That was a very big mistake. And I remember the shop actually trying to convince me to say, hey, maybe you should get a few more dives first. But I was like, no, I feel like I actually am already an advanced diver, so I just need to go ahead and get the certification. So in a sense, I was kind of just chasing the card. The other variable here I'll briefly mention is that in terms of physical conditioning, I was not even close to being ready to take on any further diving certifications. I just did not realize that yet, but I was about to find out. The Advanced Open Water Certification weekend begins. Every part of that course pushed me in a way physically and mentally, and I realized very quickly that, wow, I am in no shape to actually do most of this. Everything was extremely difficult. I even had struggle putting on my fins. I will say I had a very, very good dive buddy in that course. I won't mention any names, but he knows it was much appreciated for the help that he gave me. I came out of that course and I guess I would have been labeled an advanced open water diver. But in my mind, I was like, I am not even close. And in fact, because of that experience and the shape and how it kind of kicked my butt, maybe diving is not for me. So the better course for me would have been hold off on the certifications, realize that I need to make some adjustments in terms of my lifestyle, get in better shape, get some dive experience, and then start to prepare in terms of where I want to look at for the next set of certifications. I would highly encourage you to self-assess and really just focus on those skills and getting the much needed dive experience that you need before you start considering any further certifications in the dive space. So I passed the course, barely, but there was no way in hell that I felt like I was an advanced open water diver. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about what I think is an alternative way. Get your dive buddies, start to work on your dive circle of friends, and now just gain dive experience. Just like we talked about in the last episode. Start to hit all the different sites and start to learn those sites. Most of these sites that we have around here are all within open water diver limits. It's not until you start to hit some of the charter dives that you actually will go beyond what you are currently certified to in terms of depth. So just take the time, enjoy the dives that you can do, and just go get that experience across all of those different dive sites with a bunch of different buddies. That is the best thing you can do right now as a new diver in terms of how to advance your skill set. You don't need to take an advanced course in order to start working and getting that dive experience. And I will keep stressing in these videos, core fundamental skills is what's going to prepare you for the next set of certifications that you want to take. There is no real point in taking any further certifications other than maybe like a peak performance buoyancy course in order to improve those skills and just have fun diving and creating your little dive circle. What are the next steps, Dave? I would say 20 to 30 dives under your belt is a great start, and those should be a mix. Local shore dives with different dive buddies, charter dives, maybe some drift dives. Maybe that's a mix of practice sessions. Now you can assess, how can I handle my mass drills or an out of air scenario with my buddy? Is my air efficiency improving? And how about my fundamentals? Is my buoyancy and my trim and my fin control, is all of that improving? And then you can start to assess, well, what is the type of diving that I seem to be really enjoying the most? Is it a drift dive? Maybe I did a night dive and I really enjoyed that. Or I loved going to see the wrecks. Now you can start to say, hey, I think that's the kind of area I would love to focus on. And if you can put all of that together, then you might be truly ready to take the next step. And the next step is what I'd like to talk about next. So now that you've put the dive experience in, you've got 20, 30 dives under your belt, you sort of have a feeling of the kind of areas that you want to work on, and the fundamentals are in place, you are now ready to potentially take the next level of certification. And this is the moment where I tell students, hold on. Instead of looking at your advanced open water certification, there might be a better way. If we look at what's required here to be a great diver in the St. Lawrence, we know we are going to have to be good at quite a few things. We're going to have to be comfortable drifting. We're going to have to be comfortable using our compass. The core skills, it's a no-brainer. Those have to be in place no matter what. There's going to be some night dives. There's definitely going to be some wreck dives. And at times, I'm probably going to want to dive deep as well as use enriched air. So instead of doing your advanced open water certification, why not just do those certifications? One of the things I always offer to my private students is, if you do 5 specialties with me, and you of course have to take the underwater navigation and the deep course, then you can select 3 other courses that would make sense to do here if you're going to be diving in the St. Lawrence River. So for students, I try to steer them to the drift, the night, the peak performance buoyancy, and they can switch either that or maybe do the enriched air or a rec certification. But then they come away with the 5 certifications. And the beauty of that is, if they can get through the 5 certifications, then I will actually throw in the advanced open water diver certification for free. If you think about the comparison, the advanced open water diver course is 5 dives over 2 days. If you go the specialty route, you are going to do 5 certifications, 15 to 20 dives total. That might spread over the course of a month or two. And at the end, you are also going to get the advanced open water certification. So you actually get 6 certifications, but you get a ton more dive experience. And you come away having completed each of those courses completely instead of just doing the taste test. Now that, I feel, is setting you up for success to be a very good diver. And then to top that off, you are now a rescue diver certification away from qualifying for your PADI Master Scuba Diver certification. It's going to take a lot of work, but I think that's a much better way if the goal is to be a great diver. What's the downside? Well, there's always a downside. Nothing's free. And of course, it's cost. In order to do the 5 specialty courses, that's going to be more expensive than just doing your advanced open water. But in my mind, you are getting way more dive experience, and you are actually going to be a way better diver at the end of that process. Had I known about that back in the day, I would have certainly gone for it. I just didn't know that that option existed. Final thoughts. To be a great diver does not mean you have to be great at collecting certification cards. There is no substitute for dive experience. We said this in the last episode: dive, dive, dive. And the core fundamentals we have to continue to work on until we have them on lockdown. The advanced open water certification, in my opinion, is not a magic solution, and I feel does not actually prepare you and get you ready to be an advanced diver. Focus on specialty training and focus in the areas that really interest you the most. You combine that approach with the dive experience and the practice sessions, throw in a great dive buddy, give it some patience. Now you are on the path to becoming a great diver. Practice hard, dive safe. Got a snowblower. The neighbor's snowblower is like shaking the dive lab right now. I don't know if the mic is picking that up, but so before we move on from this segment, I would love to hear some comments and feedback on that one, because I know it's a little bit of an alternate route and it's a little bit against the grain. Everyone is so used to just going right into their advanced, but honestly, I just feel like it's a way better. All right, so what did I really struggle with? Number 1 is dive experience. Did I really have enough dives to all of a sudden jump into an advanced sort of course in the St. Lawrence River? Of course not, but I thought I did. Honestly, the visibility sucked. So again, now I'm no dive experience and I can't even see. I already told you, physical conditioning, I could barely put my fins on. I wasn't even close to being in the right shape. I had to have so much lead on that even when I got down, buoyancy control was almost impossible. And let's be honest, I was sucking through air left and right. Number 3 was stress levels. Because of number 1 and 2, my stress levels were way up here. It was just not enjoyable. In fact, to the point where I almost thought I would not make it through day 1. So all that to say is, yes, I passed, but I certainly did not feel like any sort of advanced diver by the end of that weekend.